Your brain cannot tell the difference between cocaine and a compliment. That's not a metaphor. In 2013, researchers at MIT measured brain activity when people received social praise. The nucleus accumbens, the same region that activates with cocaine, showed identical patterns. Same dopamine release, same reward circuitry, same addiction potential. When you try to quit seeking approval, your brain goes into withdrawal. Here's what that looks like. Your brain evolved in small tribes, 150 people, maybe less. If the tribe rejected you, you died. There was no alternative. So your amygdala, your ancient threat detector, learned a simple equation. Social rejection equals death. That equation is still running right now in your brain. When someone doesn't text you back, your amygdala doesn't think they're busy. It thinks exile. But here's where evolution failed to keep up. You're not in a tribe of 150 anymore. You're in a tribe of billions. Every social media platform, every group chat, every room you walk into, your brain is trying to track your status with thousands of people. It was never designed for this. So it does what any overwhelmed system does. It defaults to anxiety. Every time you get approval, a like, a compliment, someone laughing at your joke, your brain releases dopamine. That dopamine doesn't just feel good. It teaches your brain that this behavior equals survival. So you do it again and again. And slowly, your brain raises the threshold. 100 likes used to feel significant. Now you need 1,000. One compliment used to stay with you for days. Now you need constant reassurance just to feel neutral. You probably don't even notice you're doing this. You think you're just being considerate, just staying connected. But your brain has outsourced your sense of worth to other people's reactions. Which means when you try to stop, your brain interprets it as a threat to your survival. Day one doesn't feel dramatic. It feels like waiting. You post something and your hand keeps reaching for your phone. Not consciously, just reaching. Someone asks what you think, and you have to physically stop yourself from saying what they want to hear. By hour 6, there's a low hum of anxiety. Not panic, just presence. Your amygdala is running diagnostics, checking, are we safe? Are we still part of the group? And it's not getting the usual signals back. Day 2 is when the absence becomes obvious. Your brain has a prediction system. For years, you've been feeding it external validation every few hours. Now, nothing. So your prediction software errors out. It doesn't know how to calibrate your worth anymore, and it defaults to the worst case scenario. Everyone hates me. I've ruined everything. I should apologize. This isn't rational thought. This is your brain in withdrawal. Neurologically, this resembles coming off stimulants. Depleted dopamine, elevated cortisol, amygdala hyperactivity. Your brain is used to getting dopamine from external sources. Now you're asking it to produce that internally, and it doesn't remember how. So everything feels flat, empty. This is the point where most people go back. They say, I tried not caring and it made me feel worse. but they stopped at mile 2 of a marathon. Around day 10, something changes. It's not dramatic. You might not even notice it at first. You finish a project, have a good conversation, solve a problem, and you feel satisfied. Not because anyone validated it, because you actually did something. This is your prefrontal cortex learning to produce its own dopamine. It's called intrinsic motivation. And for most approval addicts, this is the first time they've felt it since childhood. It's quieter than the rush of 1,000 likes, but it doesn't disappear when you close the app. Here's what's actually happening in your brain. For years, your reward system has been externally referenced, meaning you only felt good when someone else confirmed you were good. Now, your prefrontal cortex is learning to self-reference, to evaluate your own actions against your own standards. This is a literal rewiring, new neural pathways forming. Studies on habit change show this process takes anywhere from 18 to 254 days, depending on complexity. But the first major shift, when intrinsic motivation becomes reliable, happens around week 3. This is when you stop checking if people saw your message, when you stop over-explaining yourself, when someone's disapproval feels like information, not a catastrophe. But there's something nobody warns you about. The people around you will resist this change. Not consciously, not maliciously, but unconsciously. They will try to pull you back because you've disrupted the social equilibrium. For years, you've been the person who says yes, who smooths things over, who makes everyone comfortable. Now, you're setting boundaries, saying no, not apologizing for existing. And the people who benefited from your people-pleasing will start testing you. Are you okay? You seem different. You're being kind of selfish lately. The old you would never act like this. This isn't concern. This is an unconscious attempt to restore the old dynamic. Week 3 is when you'll be tempted to go back. Not because you feel bad, but because everyone else is making you feel guilty for feeling good. This is the real test. Can you tolerate being misunderstood? Can you let people be disappointed in you? Can you hold the boundary even when they push? If you can make it past this point, the permanent shift happens. If you make it past week 3 without relapsing, something permanent changes. Your prefrontal cortex stops defaulting to what will they think and starts asking, what do I think? This isn't a mindset shift. This is neurological. fMRI studies show that people with strong internal locus of control have more active prefrontal cortex self-referential processing, meaning their brain literally evaluates their own actions more than it evaluates others' reactions. You've rewired the default mode. Practically, this looks quiet. You post something because you want to, not because you need the validation. You say no without a paragraph of justification. Someone's upset with you, and your first thought isn't, how do I fix this? It's, is their anger actually my responsibility? You stop performing your personality. You stop curating your life for an invisible audience. And, strangely, you become more genuine. Not to everyone, but to the people who actually matter. But there's a cost to this. You will lose people. Not necessarily relationships, but the version of you that made them comfortable. Some people only liked you because you made them feel good about themselves. When you stop doing that, they leave. You'll also lose the dopamine rush of mass validation, going viral, being praised by strangers, being universally liked. That high doesn't hit the same way anymore because your brain doesn't need it. So here's what you're trading. You give up constant external validation, being universally liked, the comfort of never disappointing anyone. You get internal stability, real relationships, freedom from the opinion of people who don't actually know you. Most people won't make this trade because it's scarier to rely on yourself than to rely on everyone else. But if you're still watching, there's a part of you that already knows. You're tired of being a drug addict for other people's opinions. Your brain treats approval like cocaine. Same dopamine pathways, same addiction potential. When you quit, the first 3 days are withdrawal. Week 2, your brain starts producing its own validation. Week 3, the people around you will test your resolve. And if you make it through, the rewiring becomes permanent. You stop being externally referenced. You become internally referenced. You don't have to quit everything at once. Just pick one behavior you do purely for approval. Stop doing it for 72 hours. Notice what your brain does. That's how you start. You were never addicted to approval. You were addicted to avoiding the discomfort of disapproval. And the only way out is through.